Hi guys, nice to see you again. I I'm sure you have heard it. The new Onyx Boox Tab X C, the biggest version, the utmost specs, the 13.3-inch color version of the large tablet is now on the market and it's available and I've received it just right now. So, I propose we do an unboxing together and I share my first impressions with you. It's not going to be a full review. This will come later. But I'm so excited to have a look at this device and I want to share this with you. Stay tuned. So, this is the package as it arrived, and you will see I have actually ordered the device itself, plus the standard cover without keyboard, and the keyboard folio. Which is not included in the standard package. So this is an additional, I don't know, 170 euros. And yeah, it does hurt in a way because you see the invoice here, and this is more than just a little bit over 1,000 euros. So purchased via my own money, by the way. So there is no influence, and this is not a paid review. You will see here, this is the here the keyboard folio, the keyboard cover. This is the device itself. Now let's unbox all the packages or the yeah. Yes, this is it. Oh, it looks nice. It looks really, really nice. And that's the standard cover. Okay, fine. That's great. Okay, let's open this. Let's see how it looks like. I think I actually couldn't choose the color, so it must be somehow a standard color configuration, as opposed to the a Remarkable Paper Pro, where I had a couple of color options. So this, at least in this offer, in this first offer where it was available, I had no color options. So I just chose what was available and offered in the shop. Okay, so let's start with the device because that's really the main uh, the main object of interest. Looks nice. So far, so good. I mean, the book's packaging is always quite enjoyable. And here it is. What a nice piece of kit. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is obviously the standby picture, which is standard on e-ink devices, that they show something even if the device is turned off. Okay, there is nothing inside except here this little additional carton, which I think there should be something like the pencil or the new stylus, the usual paperwork. Okay. Let's open this. That's, yeah, the stylus is here. And I guess a USB cable. Additional nips. That's great. Yes. Fantastic. That's good. And yes, USB cable. As expected. Okay, fine. Oh no. Why is this not a USB to USB-C cable? I can't really get it. Manufacturers should really change this in 2025. Not to include this old style USB connector anymore. Okay. So let's move on. I put it just back in the carton. This goes. Okay, let's open the stylus for a moment and see how it looks like. Because that's now not the usual Wacom technology any longer. That's now an active stylus, as they have chosen the same technology on the Remarkable Paper Pro, and as I would assume, as with the Remarkable, there will be a lot of criticism for this decision, but that's how it is. Maybe there is a good reason for that. Good, so let's go on. That is now the new Onyx Boox Tab X C in full color. 4096 colors via an RGB layer of 150 ppi over an Encarta screen with 300 ppi in black and white only and 13.3 inch in diagonal. So it should be actually enough space to display a full A4 page or a US letter size a piece of paper in almost 100% scaling. And that means you can really use this device completely as a academic studying e-reader or anything, even comics or mangas. I know that many people love to read manga style books and comics, and yeah, that should be a perfect device. Oh, look how nice. Okay, it's a little bit slippery on the surface of the table. That is something we have to look into. Now let's turn it on. The first starting of the device. Okay, the startup screen. Let's try. Interesting feeling on the surface. I will comment on this a little bit later, but it is different than all the other Onyx devices I've used so far. Definitely not comparable to the Remarkable series, and not even to the Onyx Boox Go 10.3, which has a completely different feeling. Okay, I go for German, so I hope this is okay for you. And I'm now going to select here the region, the country, and okay, there is at least one thing. Let's see if they have managed to put the correct or alphabetic sorting of country names in German. No. Okay, that is happening quite often, and maybe that's because of the Chinese to English translation, but the German umlaut should not be at the end, because this is like an O and has just the diacritic characters. It should be sorted within the alphabet after Oman or something like that. So this is, like many times in many other configurations, this is wrong. But I assume if you set this device to any other language than English, that you will have some translation issues, as with all Onyx devices, because they are translated from Chinese to English, and other languages do exist, but I assume that they are maybe not absolutely perfect. Okay, this is now to choose between the different Android modes. Yeah, the swipe from bottom up. Well, this is anyway standard configuration. I will probably do this later, because I want, swipe from left to go back, and swipe from right. I want to have a full e-ink refresh, because there is no dedicated button on this device, as for example on the Onyx Boox Palma and the BigMe Highbreak Pro phone. Both devices use this, and I think it's very, very useful to have such a feature. But yeah, there is no dedicated button, so you have to somehow use a gesture. And now we are connecting the pen, and you have seen that now this new stylus is already connected, and even maybe a firmware upgrade or something. Okay, and that's the home screen. So this is how it looks like. Now let's try the screen is responsive, and by default you see that the backlight or the front light to be I'm sorry, but this is a front light, of course, and by default it's on. sound is also on a low level on, and you see that now the stylus has almost no charge, but it's now going to be charged, and it's displayed here on the screen. And I think this is this is very useful that you see the charging level of the stylus, which should be connected anyway on this right side of the device most of the time. However, there is one thing which I realize, and I saw this even on some of the videos presented by Onyx on their website. There is no similar feature as on the Remarkable Paper Pro to properly secure the stylus with the cover. This very genius magnetic attachment that does not exist. So you are more likely to lose this pen, or at least find it somewhere in your bag, hidden on the bottom of the of the bag when you use it. Okay, we are connected. Perfect. So I don't really see a lot of differences compared to other Onyx devices that I know. The menu structure, the settings, the Onyx settings page, which is something specific. You can get to the Android standard or default setting menu, but that needs a little bit of somehow a trick, because by default the Onyx system version interface does just give you the standard Onyx settings. And this is now to connect some of the storage and cloud storage devices. There's now Readwise, there's Zotero for academic citations, some Chinese clouds, and of course the standard clouds as well, including Evernote. So looks decent. I know this from other Onyx devices anyway. This is now to connect to the Onyx cloud itself, which they have server in the United States, they have servers in China, and they have also servers in the European Union. Still, I guess that many of you would not really love to connect to the Chinese network. However, that's one of the caveats of this device and this company. It is Chinese, and you have to expect that this device is always somehow calling home and sending some telemetry data. Now, yeah, anyway. Good. Yeah, that's it. And we are essentially in the Play Store, and now the joy begins. And actually, I will interrupt you because you would not like to follow me and watch me install another, I don't know, for 2 hours, some of the apps that I want to install. And I will continue this after most of the installation is completed. Now let's open the cover, the standard cover, the book cover, and see how this looks like. Actually, it is very light, so I think this should be a decent standard protection, which I'm going to use most of the time. The keyboard folio is definitely heavier, but let's take this as a last unboxing item. Now, okay, this is coming again in plastic, and this is how it looks like. Yeah, the color, I mean, you could discuss definitely the choices of color and the appearance of the Remarkable covers are much more, actually much more premium. Yeah, it is plastic. It does the job, I guess, but it's not a great thing. Well, but I think it's okay. Nothing to call home, but it is, yeah, it is a standard protection. So now let's try it. Okay, and here we have a magnetic connection and also the front. Okay, that looks nice, and yeah, that's great. So if you open it, then I mean, you can enable or disable this feature, but by default it unlocks the device. And here you can use these two positions to get at least two angles and use it in a sort of an upright position. Now here is the keyboard folio, which is it's a little bit thicker and it's definitely heavier. I can already tell you that it is significantly heavier. I would guess like 300 to 400 grams plus the packaging. Okay. Honestly, I'm not a fan of the color, but yeah, there was not a choice. So I had to take this one. Not so happy. And this is actually, that's really a strange plasticky feeling, so not too great. I'm not sure if I like this. Honestly, I have to admit that I don't have the keyboard folio for the Remarkable Paper Pro. I have it for the Remarkable 2, and the quality of the keyboard is decent, but it's not comparable, for example, to the keyboard of the dedicated typewriter devices like the FreeRide Alpha or the FreeRide Traveler, because the key travel is completely different. So as a backup keyboard, it might do its job, but taking into account that the standard folio is much slimmer, maybe, yeah, okay, this is now how it connects with the pogo pins. And it does not auto-rotate. Oh, yes, it does. But I think you can change this in the settings if it's not enabled. I'm not getting rid of this plastic on the trackpad because I might want to send it back. Okay, so now we have it here. After the unboxing, I will run a quick run through this device and also compare it against some of the competition. And well, let's get rid of the pencil at the moment. Let's start with a comparison within the Boox company and look at the 10.3 Go version, which is a black and white, which has no backlit. And because of black and white, it has a much brighter background here. And you can see that in direct comparison. I can even put it one over the other to have here the same, um, lighting condition and also the same exposure from the video setting, because this may a little bit adjust. And on the right side, there's a little bit less light because the light is coming from the left side. So here you can now clearly see the difference. We also have here the Onyx Boox Parma. It's not on at the moment, but you see also the background is a little bit more, yeah, a little bit warmer in the tone than this gray. So it's a warm gray. This is a colder gray, but definitely both of them are significantly brighter than the background of the Onyx Boox Tab X C in color, because it is a Carter screen with the additional RGB layer, and that of course makes the whole thing darker. It's not a Kaleido screen, and you definitely see the difference. Here, another one in comparison. This is the Big Me High Break normal, also standard phone. This is not the fancy new Pro version, which I'm also using, and I will also review in the near future. But this one is even, I don't know if it's brighter than this one. I cannot say. It is. This one is a little bit warmer, this is a little bit colder, but still, both of them are actually darker gray than this one. So you definitely have a trade-off for using the RGB layer on these devices, and this is something you have to have in mind when you compare the two. So here definitely you see how these two stack up one against each other. Now, there is one thing more which we can do, and this is the Remarkable Paper Pro, which is, I mean, arguably one of the best devices I can think of. And if we put those two devices together, I think these are the main competitors at the moment, at least for me. Because as you know, from if you have seen one of my previous videos, I like it big because I like big to read big articles, full size A4, or this is close to the US letter format for those of you being more familiar with this format. But both of them are full paper pages, and they both exceed the normal tablet size significantly. And the problem with the Remarkable Paper Pro is the size. I understand that for some of you it's even too large, but for those of you reading academic papers, it has always been a challenge. And I can go here, for example, and go to this article. No, this is not an article, I'm sorry. Let's go to the scientific papers section, and if we go here, for example, to this one, yeah, this is fine. You see that is actually readable. But then if we go to something like that, there are certain conditions where it gets a little bit tough with the formula here and so on. Yeah. So many papers are still fine and still okay, but in some cases you may find yourself wishing to have a larger display. Still, there is one huge advantage, and that is definitely the color. So if you go here and you can see all the colors, and the colors are actually really good on this device, and then you can see here how this looks. And if we go back to the standard magnification, give me a second. Yeah. So it's fine, but here, you know, it's a little bit challenging to read. And then there are a couple of books, and the books are per se written in a smaller font in this case, and comparing and reading those papers then on the Remarkable Paper Pro is a challenge in itself. Now, what I'm going to do now is I try to switch it off. And again, this is funny because the on-off button on the Remarkable is on the left side, and on the Onyx it's on the right side. So I'll always be confused, likely. So let's now compare these two. First of all, the size. You see that the bezel is actually very close, I would say. It's almost the same. Also, I would say that the depth of the RGB layer and the depth of the actual illuminated layer, where you can see the characters towards the basal surroundings, this gap here that you can see, especially looking at this shadow, this is more and bigger on this device than it's on the Remarkable. The Remarkable has, even if it uses a backlighting or actually a front light, you know, this is this front light coming from bottom. Even if it has a lighting for darker conditions, it is still very limited and very small distance from the actual glass surface to the underlying document source and the actual display layer. And then, of course, that makes a difference if you look from the side. But where it is really annoying is in those devices where you can see, you know, this is like a sunken surface, and you ask yourself, why is this more than a millimeter higher that the glass surface is on top of it? This looks like technology from the 1990s or something like that. But yeah, it is strange. I try to, yeah, you see the shadow is really huge here. So that is something which is not the case in the Tab X C, but it's still significantly more distance than on the Remarkable. Now, let's turn this off again. What we see here as well immediately is that this one is much brighter than the Tab X C. This is a Gallery 3 display, and this is a Kaleido 3 display, which means it's a Carta display with 300 ppi, and that is actually significant in this size. It's really, I would say, one of the first of its kind, with a full 300 ppi display in 13.3 inches plus the RGB layer on top of it, and that is really huge. So therefore, this device is unique and really worth considering. But then comparing those two, here you have the surface of the Remarkable without any information at the moment, and you see it is very, very bright. It has just a little warm yellowish tint to it. And comparing this now, again with the third in the list, this is the Onyx Boox Go 10.3. You still see that this is the brightest of all. So this gray is the lightest color that you can, background color yet that you can find on all of these three devices. So if you really only read black and white, or only need black and white even for note taking, and want an Android version, then this is probably still the way to go. It's a fantastic device. It is incredibly slim, lightweight, and actually not too expensive. So if we put these three now again, here you see this is a little bit brighter than the Remarkable, but there's not such a huge difference. I think the difference comes mainly from the more warm and yellowish tone that this display has, which is because of the gallery technology, because there are real pigment for all the colors. And here you have essentially a black and white display, a Carta display with 300 ppi in 13.3 inch, plus an RGB layer on top of it with only 150 ppi for the color rendering. Still, you will see that for a Kaleido 3 display, this is essentially really, really good. Now, let's look at the hardware comparison. So, of course, there is a significant difference in size. You will probably say there is no significant difference because that is not so huge. But then you see here on the left side that the width of these two devices is by far different from one each other. And now you also see that the bezel, or this additional, let's say, higher bezel on bottom of the Remarkable, actually makes a difference of, I don't know, 3 centimeters or something like that, more than an inch at least in screen height. And then looking at the width of the screen, is also, I would say, almost, it's more than 2 centimeters. Maybe this is about an inch, I would guess, yeah. But I'm not so familiar with the inch unit, so please allow me to do this in centimeters. But it's not really necessary that you get exact figures here, but you see the difference. Now maybe let's go into, you see the bezels are approximately the same. So if we put them one above each other, we can actually see here that the diagonal is significantly different. So that is definitely, I would say, almost 2 inches in difference. And so you see that these devices have definitely a different physical appearance. And now again, there's one thing more. If you take the outer dimensions, yeah, just to put it in your bag, then this difference here on bottom is not significant, but the width is significantly different. So if you want to move this into your bag, you have to take into account this wide dimension of the Tab X C compared to the Remarkable, which has a remarkably, no pun intended, bezel around, unless, or except at the bottom where it's a little bit larger. Yeah, I think it also accounts for battery or something like that, because the argument you have to hold it in your hand, I'm sorry, no, that's not an argument. I can hold it anywhere. So this is maybe sometimes an excuse, but it's not really something to take too serious. So the manufacturing needed some space, obviously, maybe for the battery, and this went into this part of the product. What you see as well, and that is also a huge difference, on the back side, you see here these 4 integrated rubber feet or knobs, and here you see essentially, you see nothing. This has I would say it's a it's not glass, it's some sort of hard plastic. It is very, very slippery, though it is not absolutely glossy and not like glass. This is not not the feeling. But comparing it, for example, to glass backsides of modern phones, like this here, like on the Pixel and also the iPhones, this is probably a similar a similar texture, though this is definitely not glass, and this is good because then the risk of breaking is reduced. So let's now compare these two as note-taking devices, and we have here 2 pens. On the right side, this is the remarkable Paper Pro pen with the rubber feature on the top end. And here on the Boox device, there is this new active stylus called, I think, Inkspire. And this one is definitely a little bit lighter. Yeah, it is a little bit thinner, and it has a more plasticky feeling than, because this one is really, really fantastic to hold. It has this perfect grip. So I love this stylus. It's absolutely perfect. And now let's start and write here a little bit, and you have again this feeling that many of you already know because they have maybe tried or own a Remarkable Paper Pro. This one is like a ball pen or a tip pen on maybe a fountain pen on paper, but on a hard surface because of course this is glass. If I use this one on this device, you see there is a strange, I don't know, this maybe may have to do with the frequency of the electric field or whatever they do here, but that is actually unusable on this device because you cannot get any, even if especially if you're moving fast, you get really strange artifacts. You see that? Yeah, so this is wobbly and no, doesn't work. On the other hand, if you use the Boox pen on the Boox device, I mean, of course, this should work because it's the same brand, but it does also work perfectly on the Remarkable. Yeah, so that is good. Also slow, more pressure. This is not pressure sensitive in this case, yeah. But this works very, very well. And this, again, has more of a friction, and you hear it. It's much louder actually to write, like again, like a ball pen or a fountain pen that really scratches the surface of paper. This one has a more rubbery feeling, and I also fear that the tips wear out much, much faster than they do on the Remarkable, but let's see that. On the other hand, I'm not going to write with this on the Remarkable because still, again, the charging, maybe it works. No, the magnetic connectors don't work, and that's understandable. But I will keep both on the device where it belongs to, and this stylus here is actually quite good. So you have here the pressure sensitivity. You can go much thicker. And when you choose the pencil tool, interestingly, that has no pressure sensitivity, even if you go very, very hard. But you have the angle sensitivity, and you can really use this for more soft shading, like using this angle, and then it does work quite well. So let's use color in blue. This is the highlighter, which is now, as far as I see, really going over the layer. Yeah, again. but it does not completely cover the layer. So you see, if you are writing something, then you are going to see it through here. For the drawing feature with the pencil, it is somehow mixed. It's like diluted a little bit. But writing over the black text of your handwriting does not make it invisible. And that's actually very, very useful, because otherwise, as we all agree, this would not make a lot of sense to use a highlighter tool. So far, so good. So this is just a quick impression of how these two stack up. Some of you may now be able to use some fancy tools to really measure the delay and go with the camera, but honestly, I don't have these measurement tools to measure the latency, and I just use it, and I see how fast I try to move. Oops, to move. Oh, this was interesting because I know what this was. This was the strike through recognition, because that is let's call it AI feature that some people tend to write the word, yeah, and then they say this word was wrong, and then they want to delete the word, and this actually recognizes it. Maybe that's really a feature that's for many of you, or many of us, this could replace the missing eraser at the end of the pen, because that allows us to use this feature while we write longer texts to erase some of the words without turning around the pen and using, because that is something I wouldn't recommend, because this is the only piece which is metal, and this makes a not so nice sound on the surface. So I have the feeling that you could easily destroy your surface if you use it much more often, and I would actually not recommend to do so. Yeah. So if some of you now are able to see this, you see here the slight delay, yeah, even in the video, but I cannot really compare it with my naked eye with the remarkable and tell you a difference. But I would say again, using my naked eye, it is incredibly close. Now, maybe some of the other famous channels which review ink devices like Kits or Voya or others can measure this, then fine, I would really be interested to see the measurements. But for me, just from the user experience, the latency is non-existent. So you wouldn't really realize this in daily use, even if there are slight differences. Both of them are absolutely fine. What you see here also is, again, the difference in color. So definitely this is on the warmer side, it's more yellowish, and this is more on the gray side, and it's definitely darker. And by the way, just to make sure that you understand that, in both cases, lighting of front light is turned off. I don't like to use front light on these devices because this is the main reason you buy an e-ink device, that it's not self-lit. And I would recommend only to use the front light if absolutely needed. Now, some people say, yeah, for the Kaleido screen, you need it, because then, of course, you can have a more, it does look brighter and gives you a more, I don't know, professional or more, a better readability, but then I wouldn't use an e-ink device. So for me, it does not really make a difference. I like to use them as they are. If I use them at late in the evening, I like to use an external lamp, again, shining from outside onto the surface, and that makes it absolutely usable. And honestly, please let me know in the comments, but what is your opinion? Is this really a huge disadvantage, that this is much, or let's call it significantly darker than this one? Honestly, I don't really know. I cannot really say that I would encounter a huge difference. Now, one thing I wanted to show you as well, and for this purpose, we are going to turn it off again, both devices. And I have to look now on the video screen. So this is my Remarkable with probably some some dirt from and fat from my fingers on the surface, but this is how reflective it is, because the direction it is now facing here is towards a window, and it's not bright sunshine outside, but it's standard daylight, I would say. So you should see here that the reflection is almost zero. Yeah, it is really very, very diffuse light that you see and no mirroring effect. This is definitely a huge advantage of this device. As opposed to the Onyx Boox Tab X C, that I can really pronounce this name. Oh God. And you see here, you see more of the edges of the window. I wouldn't say it is a mirror, definitely not. But the diffusion effect of the surface is a little bit less pronounced than on the Remarkable tablet, which may, in bright sunlight, be a little bit of an issue in some use cases. Again, I really don't see it as a critical thing, but just to let you know. Now, let's do something else, and I hope you can see that. I will try my best to make it visible for you. And this is the thickness of these two devices. I hope now you can see it. Let's try here. Yeah. So you definitely see that both of these devices are, I would say, very, very close in the same range. While, to be fair, the Onyx Boox Tab X C is slightly thicker. And it does not have any of these rubber nibs, or whatever this is called, I have no clue, rubber feet at the bottom, which protrude slightly from the Remarkable. So you see here that you can see that, I think, in the light here properly. Yeah. So they add an additional, I would say, 1 millimeter when you put the tablet on the surface. And this is not the case here, which has an absolutely flat surface. But I think this is, in any case, no huge difference. You can handwrite on both devices just fine. And again, for some, this extreme friction of the Remarkable on the table, where I can almost hardly move it, yeah, like here I cannot move it, maybe even a disadvantage for some who would rather like to move it around, as you would probably do with a piece of paper or a college block or whatever. So yeah, that's something to have in mind. There is one additional thing which is quite annoying for me, I have to admit, and maybe that is different for many of you. And please also feel free to let me know in the comments. But this, I'm a fan of symmetry. Yeah. I would not say I'm a nerd in this regard, but I like symmetry. And from the aesthetical point of view, this is a perfect device. It still has this wider bezel at the bottom of the screen, but that's somehow okay. This device, on the other hand, has a large bezel on the left side, which reminds me a little bit of the Kindle Scribe design, which I honestly didn't like very much, and I sent it back. This was one of the devices which I did not keep, and I just had it for a day, and then it went back to Amazon. So why is this the case? I mean, there is additionally the Boox logo here in a 90-degree angle printed like that, which makes me think that somebody was assuming that this is a landscape device. But sorry, people, sorry, guys, sorry, product designers of books. This is clearly a portrait device, because it's made for large consumption of documents. It is exactly the screen size for large paper sizes. And also, if you do handwriting, you wouldn't turn it around like here in landscape mode. Some people use tablets in landscape mode for media consumption, and I fully can understand that. However, this is clearly not a media device. I mean, I can show you later, you can consume YouTube content and things like that. You can watch videos, and it's actually okay if you want to watch educational content and just get information. But you wouldn't watch, cinematic or artistic content on it, because that obviously doesn't work on an e-ink screen. And linked to this experience, there are two stereo speakers here. Sorry, I try to move it to the camera. So yeah, here, these are the pogo pins, and here are the stereo speakers. Again, on the left side of the device, here on the bottom, there's just the USB plug. And on the right side, there is actually nothing. There's just obviously the magnetic, these magnetic, whatever it is. I think it's for the charging, yeah. I think, yeah, that's it. Okay. And on top, there is just the on-off button. So this is what you have here. Not very fancy. Actually, I would say a very, very good design. But ideally, I would love to take a saw and cut off the whole device here, because the black bezel is exactly the size this device should have, while this additional layer here on the left side is just annoying. Maybe they need it for battery, maybe they need it for some connectivity, maybe there's the antenna or whatever there is inside. Fully get it. But again, on a device which is 99% intended to be in an upright position to read large documents and also to use it for taking notes, which you always would do in a portrait mode and not landscape mode. This is somehow counterintuitive that you have to, it seems to be intended like this. Of course, we come to the keyboard later, then it makes absolute sense, but it's mainly a tablet and the keyboard is just an add-on and not the main feature. Linked to the stereo speakers on the left side is also the strange experience if you want to listen to a podcast or something, which is again, it's not a media consumption device. If you want to listen to music, strongly recommend to use your favorite earbuds, of course, Bluetooth, yeah, because there is no audio jack here. And honestly, in this case, I even understand it, because that's really thin to an extreme extent. You see, this is the USB plug, so I think there would be no space for a 3.5 millimeter audio jack anyway. I've not tested. Some of you may want to try if they can use a USB digital audio converter and use that for media consumption. This may work, but yeah, it does not. Oh, I think I have restarted the device now because I've put on the on-off button. Anyway, yeah. But if you want to listen to a podcast and you have your documents open, or you have anything open, and you are reading at the same time, you always have the strange experience that the whole sound is coming from the left side, even if it's supposed to be stereo. So I don't know. Again, product design, there are a couple of flaws which have not been properly thought through completely. Yeah. There is one more thing I would like to mention, and this is for those of you who are a little bit into reading psychology, and that is, you may have seen that on all my devices I try to get the white version. Also, I have a white version of the Pixel phone, and wherever white, I use this as my main color. The reason for that is not only that the white color is much more useful in bright sunshine, because it keeps the devices really significantly and measurably cooler if you have a white surface than a black one, because the black absorbs all the light and the white one is more reflecting the light. So if you put those devices like, for example, this is the Parma, the first version. This is the Parma, the first version. If I put it like this on a surface in summer, it keeps relatively cool. If I do that with a black phone, it would probably be an issue. Now, in this case, this is the only color you get. This is not available with a white bezel, which is a shame, because the second part of the story is that from a psychological point of view and reading experience, it is favorable to have the same color throughout the entire reading surface. So again, if we now open here, I don't know, let's go to Medium, for example. Yeah, here's the Medium app, and here let's open some paper. It's not the same document, I know, but I think you get the point. And what you see here now is that I have here a paper, and the entire reading surface is more or less white. Yeah, okay, it's grayish, it has a yellow tint, and this is not white either, but there is no huge contrast. Yeah, and here you have a very, very sharp contrast between the bezel, which is black, and the reading surface, which is gray, but supposed to be white. And that is not ideal for the eye, because I think a lot about eye comfort and so on. This is why why I invest so much time, effort, and also money into e-ink devices, because that makes really a huge difference. How long you can read, how does this affect your eyesight and eye health, and so on. So these two devices, as you can see, this looks like the whole surface area you're reading is surrounded by thick black color, and here it is sort of smoothly integrated in a light surface. Much more enjoyable to read here, less enjoyable to read on this device. However, of course, there are other advantages and disadvantages, and this is mainly the size. You see that here this A4 paper has a much smaller size, and as we know, this is about 225 ppi reading resolution of the screen of this Gallery 3 screen. And here in black and white we have the layer, the RGB layer on top, but still we have 300 ppi, and because of the size, in this case the Medium app, you can of course change the font size, but you can see this is fantastic to read without any issues. And that's fantastic. Yeah, and of course here also the scrolling speed. It is possible to scroll even faster, but then you have more ghosting. And for me, this is the perfect balance between in text mode almost no ghosting. As you can see, there's almost no ghosting, and still a decent scrolling speed. You don't need actually more. I mean, anyone who is into e-ink devices will understand that this is not an AMOLED with 120 hertz refresh rate. So that is definitely not something we have to discuss here. Okay, now next point, which I have found so far, and please stay tuned until you get the full review, but this is just another finding, is the battery runtime is fairly good on this device. I've been using it today. Actually, the entire morning, I would say at least 4-5 hours non-stop installing apps, which costs a lot of energy because of the network connection, the Wi-Fi, and writing onto the internal memory, which, by the way, cannot be extended. It's 128 gigabytes, nothing more. So you have to use cloud space for extending the overall experience. Yeah, and I'm now with 67%, which I think is absolutely fine after 5 hours more or less of usage with heavy installation. I will also do a benchmark using something like Geekbench or so to compare it to more powerful devices, to Pixel phones or to my iPhone devices, etc., just to have a comparison. But again, there is no real benefit, I would really say, to compare and make compare benchmarks of an e-ink device, because the limiting factor will always be the screen. As you can see, the refresh rate is really low, but it's absolutely perfect for reading. Now, some of you may ask, and this is now the end of this comparison of this first run through of these two devices, just to get the first impression just to get the first impression here, this device is, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic regarding the screen size. I love the screen size. This makes a huge, huge difference. It's the first of its kind, offering 13.3 inch in color e-ink. Yes, it's not Gallery 3. I would love to see this in Gallery 3. However, we have to keep in mind that when we talk about Gallery 3 technology, then this screen would not be possible in Gallery 3 at the moment, at least in the current implementation, simply because the refresh rates are too low. This works on the Remarkable Paper Pro because of the limited features and the custom tailored software to drive the screen, and also with the features which are clearly defined by the operating system. However, this is full Android. It's Android 13, by the way. Some of you may not like this because it's really outdated, and I fully do agree. I do not understand why. I mean, we are now already discussing about Android 16, and some of you may have already the beta version of it installed on some Pixel devices, for example. I'm still using the regular 15 on my Pixel phone. Why would you use an old code base as a basis for this system? Because, of course, this is customized by Onyx somehow. I don't know. So I would have expected at least 14. Actually, why not even 15? Because take the AOSP Android and put your code in, and that should not be a big deal. But anyway, it is Android 13. It runs everything you want it to run. It is actually quite customizable. You can use here the application overview where you can terminate applications or even kill all of them. This is, by the way, the built-in Neo Reader. This is the built-in Reader application, which is very, very powerful. And of course, it's much more feature-rich than on the Remarkable Paper Pro. So I will do a comparison, but you see also the screen refresh here is absolutely fantastic. Yes, it is not Gallery 3, so there may be a couple of differences in the color rendering, especially in the yellow tones. But I have actually, especially this document, I think I got on the Remarkable. So maybe let's do a very, very quick comparison. If you're still with me, because this video is already quite long, I hope you give me a little bit of time to do that. So I think this is the same. Yes, exactly. Let's here close this. Now, of course, you see the difference in size. I try to put these somehow here together. Okay. And yeah, it is definitely brighter. No doubt about this. This is much, much brighter. Has a slightly yellow background, but I can perfectly read that. And again, if you want, you have here the option to really crank up the backlight to a very, very bright color compared to this one, which many of you have been criticizing, because in daylight you do not even see a difference between light turned on or light turned off, right? And here you clearly see the difference. Yeah, it also actually it might even change somehow the exposure setting of the camera here. Yeah. I mean the refresh, because I have explicitly set the refresh on the Neo Reader here, because here you can customize anything to a full page refresh after turning the page. I think for reading mode this is absolutely fine, because I don't need fast scrolling here, and it gives me a better rendering quality. So you could even compare this to the two devices. Still, it takes longer, and you have this typical for the Remarkable Paper Pro, this little flickering at the end of the refresh, and especially the yellow colors. And I think you see here the main, apart from the background color and brightness, you see a significant difference here around the faces, because there is definitely yellow is one of the strongest colors and color differences in the Kaleido technology, where you see clearly the yellow tones here coming out. And here it's more orange, brownish, yeah. But here, especially here, you see the difference in the color tones. That may not make a huge difference in here, particularly not. In photography books, this may make a difference. I just didn't load any book on this device so far, so I cannot really tell you if this is significantly different or not. But looking here, for example, because essentially the color here is not to be a digital photo frame. It is to recognize documents better, to recognize, for example, graphs in scientific publications, and not to lose information which is communicated by color. But it's not necessarily the color quality that matters, it's the recognition of the color. So if the green tones are slightly different, yeah, that's fine. And here it's actually absolutely okay. Here even the contrast is slightly higher, and here I could actually change the contrast. No, I cannot. Because this is a different setting, yeah. But I don't want to change the setting because this is already quite good here on this device. But you see here that yeah, that's absolutely fine. I would love to read this text on both devices. Here I can even recognize the gray box around this graph a little bit better. Of course, here it is much brighter. So this is really something you have to have in mind, and you may need additional light from outside, or you have to accept that this is a little bit darker. But that's it. This is something I wanted to show you, and now we'll also do a full review of the features of the installation of all the the AI features built into the Note app. If there is any difference to my older Tab Ultra C, the smaller one, the 10.3 inch, and how it actually performs in daily use. Here is the first one is the standard cover, which is just inside is some sort of flea, well, I don't know, soft fabric, something like that, and outside it's plastic. It's more or less the same as the ones you got with the 10.3 Go device, etc., which was in white, and this one is yeah, it's not a nice color, but anyway, I didn't actually choose it. I got this. So what you can do now is you put it in here, and it is attaches magnetically, and it does. So you see it here, right? And it does attach magnetically here slightly, but it also attaches here on the bottom. And the reason for that is you can close it, and now I think it's decently protected. So I would take this as a standard protection and put it in my bag. And if you open it, this is, by the way, a setting you need to activate first. Then you have the option to turn it on. I'm sorry, this was not proper position in the camera. So close it again, and it will automatically turn off. I don't need to take care of anything. Now, there is again this nice little thing which only comes with the keyboard folio and not with this one. So if you use this device just like that, attach the stylus here, then this is how it looks. And it is very strong. Yeah, it is really very strong, much stronger as with the, for example, the Boox Go 10.3. But it's far away from the strength of the remarkable Paper Pro. If we go back to this one and take the device, you know how this works. You put it on here, and then you can take the stylus here, and this is extremely strong. It's almost like yeah, you can almost, I wouldn't say I can lift it, no, not lifting, but it is extremely strong. And then you can just close it. It will also turn off the device. And then you have this fantastic, genius feature to put this around and have it stored in your bag. So this is also how you see the size differences of these two devices. From the height, these are almost identical because the Remarkable Paper Pro has this large bezel on the bottom, but there is a huge size difference when you put it in your bag regarding the width of these two devices. Now, here again, be careful not to lose your pen. This is one thing. And then there is a second sleeve, or the keyboard folio, as they call it. And I got this as well. And I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it, to be fair, because I think it's relatively poor quality. It is like this, the same fabric inside, that's fine. And of course, you have to do it the same way. So let's now take the device, put it in like this. Again, here on the upper side, here you have, again, here, magnetic attachment. And of course, here it's magnetically attached. And then you can close the device. The thing here is, you see that? This wobbles around, and there may be a little bit of, there is a slight magnetic attachment also in front, but it doesn't keep this in position. And then I fear that after a time, with all these plastic here, and this is plastic, this is not, of course, rubber or anything like that. They could have, by the way, done it with some sort of fabric, like on the there was a version of a Microsoft notebook. I don't remember which one it was, which had a fabric surface, and the keys were in between, or were coming out of this fabric surface. And this was a really nice design. It's not here. It's pure plastic on glass. I'm not so sure. So now you have this little thing here, and you can somehow put this around and use it like this. But honestly, I don't know. I mean, this is, I don't know where I should put it. Maybe here. Yeah, maybe here. Yeah, but no, I mean, this is, okay, this works a little bit better. Yeah, okay. Now, this works a little bit better, definitely, but you still have this here. Look. This is definitely something that you should be aware of, and I'm not sure if I'm going to use this, because sooner or later you will have scratches on the surface. Now, this is my first Onyx device with a keyboard folio. I mean, of course, what you know is when you attach it like that, you will definitely see it will Yes, I know there is now a notification, and then I can open a document, and I can use this here as a, the mouse pointer, and so on and so on. So this is definitely something, it's a nice feature if you want to use this for writing your blog post, your texts, etc. And this is also where the landscape orientation makes a lot of sense. But in any other use case, when you don't use the keyboard folio, when you use your pen for handwritten notes, which is the main use case, and for reading, which is the other main use case, this is a side use case, but yeah, it can be useful. I'm just not sure how the quality and the two components, the plastic part of this keyboard and the glass, how well they are working together long term. And I don't want, honestly, to always put some little piece of fabric or fleece or whatever, or paper in between just to protect it. That's not how it should be. So let me just say, I'm unsure if this keyboard is really worth the money. The trackpad is fine. It's not huge, but it does the job. I mean, it would be, I think it would be a perfect writing companion. And for those not wanting a free write traveler, for example, it has the same keyboard size. It has less key travel. Definitely, that is a difference. And of course, now this is screen reading. This is the wrong orientation, so this doesn't work. But yeah, I don't know. I keep you posted. I keep you up to date if I'm going to keep this this keyboard or not. But definitely, the main use case is to use it as a tablet. And as a tablet with this one, it is absolutely fantastic from the screen size and regarding all the features of the operating system, especially comparing my workflow on the Remarkable Paper Pro and the workflow on this device is something for my future complete review, where we'll dive into the operating system and how I do set up my Android for my productivity workflow. Because it's Android, you can essentially do anything you like, so there is no need to review an Android system, but it may be interesting for you how I use it for my daily work in my agency. What do you say? Is this really a tablet worth purchasing? I mean, the price point is pretty steep. You've seen the invoice by when I just unboxed the carton, so it's about 1,000 euros. Having the device itself, the normal cover without keyboard is included, and the folio cover is something you have to purchase extra. The quality of the purchase of the folio device is questionable, but yeah, what do you think? I'm curious to hear your comments. Will you consider this tablet? Will you consider it as a competitor to the Remarkable Paper Pro? What are your thoughts? What are your opinions? And I will prepare full review, so stay tuned if you're interested. And I'm looking forward to see you again on this channel.